Hello, 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 and welcome to the Drag Race RuCap here on reality TV RHAPups. I'm your host, Liana Boraas, and we are here to talk about episode 8 of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 8, and we are down to our top 4. We had a shocking elimination with Lala Ree going home, and Alexis Michelle gets her redemption with her first win of this season. Let me welcome in our wonderful panel who's here to talk with us today. First, a man who you will get all of his thoughts this week. It is Aman Adwin. Aman, how are you?
I am glad to be back. I am well. It's a beautiful Pride weekend for me. After this podcast, I'm headed over to Beth's neck of the woods for New York. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling very, very, very gay.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, speaking of her neck of the woods, it's Beth Dixon. Beth, how are you?
I swear, I thought you were going to be like, speaking of gay.
Yeah. Let's keep it going.
Let's keep it going. Come on, queer. Yeah. No, I'm doing really well. I was just telling both of you right beforehand, but I'll tell the listeners that I had a lovely time, gal, at the Trixie Mattel Solid Pink Disco the other night in New York City. So much fun. Got to see Amanda Lepore and Big Frida and Katya all perform in addition to Trixie. Was a blast. Had such a good time. And there are lots of wonderful Pride things going on in New York City. So if you are in New York or coming to New York, I hope you have a wonderful and safe time. Yes, Aman. Looking at you.
Yeah, emphasis on safe for me. I'm going to be safe this weekend.
Well, listen, you have had phones stolen. Like, I understand.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, we are protecting our bodies. We are protecting our items. We are protecting all of the things.
Everything.
For Pride. Yes. Keep it all safe while still having a good time. And that's what we hope to do here on the pod. Stay safe in our homes, but also have a good time. So, Aman, I want to go to you first because we've now had 2 episodes. One Lala wins and one Lala goes home. What did you feel about this little arc for Miss Lala Ree?
Well, first and foremost, last week's episode, I had such a good time. That entire sketch that they did was so funny. Lala Ree, man, I don't think I really appreciated how funny she was back in season 13. But she is just a hoot. Mm-hmm. Just everything that she did about her character, Larisha, the SH is silent. Everything was just so funny. I think that win was so well deserved. One of the best wins that I feel like I felt good about on Drag Race ever. It was just clearly this was hers. So yeah, I had such a blast, and it sucks to see her be on such an upward trajectory to get sent home, and I really feel some type of way about it. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like the better option was to go for Candy Muse, but I feel like Alexis is scared of Candy Muse, and right now she ain't shit to me right now.
Well, Beth, what about you? Did Candy Muse's, what did she say at the end? If she was like, you better call security if I get sent home.
Yeah, something like that, right? I have some questions about this elimination. I also understand it, I guess. I don't know. It's really difficult because I'm also, I'm more of an Alexis fan, so I was really excited for her win. But I also do think it's really hard when you have the same exact track record. You're talking about going into the top 4. I too would eliminate someone who's on an upward trajectory at this point in the competition.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing about it that made it so, because at the end of the day, I was like, well, I'm on, this is the stuff that you live for. And I was like, yeah, Alexis did what she had to do. But at the same time, I was like, why did she keep saying it over and over and over again? You saved me last week. You saved me last week. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. She said it at least 7 times in the episode. And I'm like, you said it that many times, you're gonna send her home? At least.
And that's the thing. I think she was saying it as I will never forget it.
Uh-huh.
But I never heard the words, which means I will not eliminate you, come out of her mouth. And Lala Ree was filling in those gaps very well and being like, well, thank you, because I saved you.
Yeah.
I'm good this week, right? She's like, I will never forget it. Alexis Michelle should be a lawyer. I'm putting it out there. She knows exactly how to lead the witness without me. Oh, no.
It did feel very much like I'm choosing my words carefully, right? I didn't say you were a bitch. I said you were acting like a bitch, okay?
Correct.
Like I said I will never
The bitch jumped
forget
out.
it. I never said I would save you. Like
No.
that's the thing. When we look at the facts, because I want to look at the facts in this case. If we're talking about a lawyer, Alexis Michelle, producer, lawyer, Esquire, Alexis
The Kris
Michelle.
Jenner.
Truly the Kris Jenner of Drag Race. If we look at the facts, one, she never said she would save her. And what was super interesting is that when she was going through her rationale for who she was going to vote for, like to save or to keep, what she said about Candy was, it was almost like more positive towards Candy. Like Candy was performing stronger in the competition because she said something along the lines of eliminating Candy would be eliminating competition, which is interesting because as a viewer, I would have flipped the two. I would have said, well, Lala Ree is on the upward trajectory. She's more competition, but that's not necessarily what we hear from Alexis, which I think is super interesting. Yeah. And to further hammer home the point, when we look at Untucked and we look at the votes, it was a unanimous decision to send Lala Ree home also. So I'm trying to like separate my fandom, which was, well, obviously Lala's making the top 4. Like, of course she is. Like,
you
Candy's
could not
the
have
next to go.
told
Or
me.
Alexis. Exactly. It was like Candy or Alexis is the next to go. It's a done deal. Off we go. Probably some rigatry. Candy's going to stay and Alexis is going to leave. But then when Alexis gets her win, I was like, oh no, like what is going to happen? Yeah. It was a little bit terrifying. And so I think that that's why, like, as a fan, there's a disconnect from then what the data is telling us, which I feel so nerdy saying.
Yeah, I think that's been pretty, sorry, go ahead, Beth.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I feel like that's so like common this season. Like, I mean, I've been watching the Roscoe's videos as well. And so many of the queens were like, I mean, it happens with any reality TV show. It's like, you know, we miss things, but it seems like based off of how the votings go and like the perceptions of the girls amongst themselves, like we're missing so much of that stuff because some of these votes are like, wow, really? Like unanimous? Okay. So yeah, I think that's pretty common this season.
Yeah, what I was going to say was like, I feel like if I were in the competition and seeing only what we have seen as an audience member, I would want to eliminate Lala Ree because she's larger competition. I know that what you said was, Alexis was saying that Candy's competition. And I do think Candy is competition because I think when you're looking at this, Lala Ree in this competition this season has definitely had some high placements that I thought were questionable, i.e. the first ball challenge. Yeah. I was like, but also Candy was in that questionable level. I feel like if I'm going into the final 4 of RuPaul's Drag Race, I'm thinking in my head, who does RuPaul really like? Candy. I would have gotten rid of Candy for that exact reason. I think it's questionable. But like you said, Liana, Lala was going to go home regardless. So I don't know what, like, I do understand that ultimately was Alexis's decision. She had the power to say no, Candy. But if she had lost that lip sync, which I will say that lip sync, I do think she won, but I was underwhelmed 100% of the time. I actually cringed for both. Yeah. That was a choice. First of all, that song was a choice. And second of all, no offense, but Nikki Doll. As a lip sync assassin, I was like,
I mean, promo for Drag Race France. Like, that's what it was.
Sure.
So
is that season even fun right now? Like Mexico just like, you know what I mean? Like I would have been like, let's be strategic about when France is airing. So I don't know. Very interesting.
It is premiering June 30th. Just FYI, season 2. So
that
this
makes
was
more
definitely
sense.
The timing aligned with that. But yeah, I was like, I don't know, do like Edith Piaf or like something? Do something French. God.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that would have been great. Do Frere Jacques. No, I'm just kidding.
I agree with you, Beth. I feel like, if I'm Alexis, I want to get rid of Candy because RuPaul likes her. And secondly, like, she's aware of like this whole thing that like Jimbo and Candy have going on. I don't think that either one of them are going to send each other home. So that only leaves them to send you home should they end up in the top again. So I'm thinking strategically, get rid of Candy. So that way there's like a little bit of a buffer. And Lala, upward trajectory, but is she close enough to really be a contender for the crown? I don't know. So that's just kind of where my head was at with it, but you know, whatever.
Yeah. Well, okay. So here's another thing to factor into consideration. And this came up only in Untucked. Okay. So apparently, Alexis gave Candy a secret letter at the beginning of the season where Alexis, I guess, proposed a secret alliance and Candy never replied, which, like, I'm just picturing what this letter looked like. And it was one of those letters you give your crush in elementary school where it's
Circle
like, check
Y.
yes, yeah, circle yes or no if you like me back. That's what I'm envisioning. And Candy never replied, apparently, to the secret alliance. And I don't know, like, maybe that was so ingrained in Alexis that she was like, look, Candy's going to make it far, and I need to have people who are going to win and save me on my side. But again, they had the same track record. So, like, I don't know. I just don't know if she was sort of stuck also in that mentality.
The social game player in my head was sitting back and being like, you had someone who wasn't positive about their, like, never responded to you, and now is saying, honestly, I forgot.
How you gonna leave somebody on red in person?
You chop that person. You chop that person. If she's like, oh well, you know, I voted to save you both times you were in the bottom, and it was like, yeah, as a collective group, you weren't like the person making the decision or anything. Like your one vote wasn't going to change that outcome.
Your vote doesn't matter.
Your vote didn't matter. Yeah, no. I just, like, honestly, though, I just sat back and I was like, okay, girl, like, if you have someone who's given you absolutely zero indication that they want to work with you, has never acknowledged the no, and now is saying they flat out forgot about it, that means that you were not as high of a priority on their list as they are to you, which means you chop them when you get this chance. Lala has actually proven to you that she would keep you around over one of her, like, best friends in the competition.
100%. Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, Miss Lawyer, because now I'm like loving this Alexis Michelle as a lawyer. I guess maybe from her district attorney performance from last week. That's why it's like ingrained in my brain. Like, yeah, exactly. Look at the data. Like, look at what's in front of you of who is like was willing to save you, and especially because that was also mentioned was this idea of like, look, you know, friendship really does matter in this competition. And we've seen people vote on friendship lines. I mean, I think about James Mansfield's elimination, which was also a little bit of a shocker to us of like, what? But then we learn sort of the backstory of what was going on and relationships and all of that stuff. And then it becomes a little bit more clear why that decision was made. I just want to say,
it was so funny in that confessional. She was like, oh my God, like, my dumbass just forgot. Like, I just forgot about it.
But then I love that she said it to her face too. She was like, I forgot.
I was like, really?
Okay, Candy, there's being truthful and genuine, and then there's shooting yourself in the foot. Okay, now granted, it worked out this time. I'm gonna project. Maybe this is projection. I don't know. I think what this has nothing to do with Drag Race. I think Alexis has what we've seen from on the show and how she was perceived in season 9. I think Alexis clearly has a lot of talent, but I think she's using this as a networking opportunity to get in with girls who have a career maybe that she's more like wanting to have, aspiring to have, and someone like Candy who's been on Work the World tours and is booked a lot. And like, I think, like, I'm not trying to make it sound like she's not like genuinely trying to like win the competition or anything, but I think that anybody who does this knows that this is just a platform, and what you do with it afterwards is all up to you. So I too would potentially suck up to the person who has had a career I want to emulate.
I feel like Alexis has been doing pretty well this entire competition, but there is like a little bit of an air of like, I am gonna get my redemption because season 9 was not the greatest for me. So I am here to be friends with everyone. I want everyone to succeed, but most importantly, me. Like, that's just sort of like how she's been moving.
I'm going to put it out there. It's very Valentina. Like, I think that she really has looked at like what happened with Valentina and was like, if I take on some of that for season for this season.
I'm actually kind of living for this 5-head play from her. Like, she's not even thinking about, because, you can talk about also numerous reasons why, like, oh, fan backlash, blah, 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 whatever. Because, like, Kandi was not the most loved on her season either. And, like, oh, no, this is, like, to get in with the girls, to get the booking. Like, I'm actually kind of obsessed if that is her logic. Like, she's playing outside of the game,
It's making me, definitely this conversation is making me feel a little bit less venom towards her now. Go ahead, girl.
Do you like how I do that every week? You get like come in and be like, Alexis, and I'm like, well, hold on one second. Let's just look into the psyche of
propaganda. Propaganda.
I want to put it out there.
Could never. Okay, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode with the Maxi Challenge. So we have another design challenge where the queens have to start from scratch, make an original outfit from scraps, I guess, of a Drag Race Hall of Famer. So previous winner of an All-Star season. And I believe it was the drag droppings. Yes, because I thought that was a funny word. And Lala gets to assign the boxes because she was the winner last week, which, by the way, shout out to Lala for being so congenial. I mean, the fan in me was like, oh, that's nice. And then the game player in me was like, how dare you? Like, sabotage.
What are you doing?
But so she takes Shay's box. She gives Trinity's box to Alexis. Jessica gets Kylie. Kandi gets Monet, equipped with sponges, of course. And Jimbo gets Trixie. So let's go through the looks, talk about them, talk about everything that went into them, because I think the narrative that the episode was trying to tell us, for me, was a little bit confusing. Like Jimbo, for example, I was like, oh my God, is Jimbo going to end up in the bottom? Because they kept talking about blah, 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 blah. I was like, oh my God, is Alexis going to end up in the bottom? Blah, blah, blah. So let's start with one look that was not crafted by hand, but was instead Alexis Michelle's shirt of Alexis Michelle's face. And I just wanted to point this out because every time I saw it, I laughed. I just don't know. She picked like the perfect picture of her face. If you're watching the YouTube channel, it's like the orange one, or I guess if you're not watching the YouTube, it's like the orange one with all of the different sizes of her face too. Like, I love that they're all different sizes. I love the giant one on her shoulder. I can't get enough of the shirt, so I had to pull a screenshot.
Collar that's just turned like
yeah, the one that's like looking to the side. Anyway,
I feel like everyone should have a shirt like that now.
Same, like
of Alexis or of themselves.
Both.
Okay,
I hope she's selling that.
I'm sure. I hope she is as well. Kandi is the first one to rock the runway, and Kandi's whole narrative was, look, I want to go for something simple, and then she messes up a few times, ends up having to redo the top because she made it too low, but comes out here in a very sort of sleek, faux leathery, sort of slit, slim, sexy, sleek gown.
Simple. It doesn't look bad though. Like, I mean, you know, if you're not like, because Kandi isn't really a seamstress, so like she's doing what she needs to do. I actually really like the dress. I just think that when you put it up against everybody else's, you're clearly going to be in the weaker spot here. It doesn't really give me a lot of Monet, and I know that the assignment was not to necessarily look like your box, but it should still be reminiscent of Monet. And the only thing that she has is that you can't just bring a sponge in your hand and be like, I'm Monet. Like, there is so much more to Monet.
I argue you can.
At least do something interesting with the sponge. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like it just wasn't giving what needed to be gave.
Mm-hmm. I think this, first of all, I have to say, her face, her hair, her skin is so smooth and beautiful. Like I just think that she looks absolutely stunning. I agree with what the judges said, which was that it's the chest area is too high. If she had lowered that a little bit more, it would
décolletage.
Yes, would have been perfect. I love the slit, all this stuff. The material is very reminiscent of the I think it was like an apocalyptic look from season 10 when she lands in the body with that epic lip sync against Dusty Red Bottoms, where the red alarm. Like, the red. A very similar looking material to me in the way that it behaved. I think is also why Monet struggled in that challenge. But it's funny to me if that's literally why they put it in the box. It would be like, this is one of her low moments in her non-All-Star season. Which I don't think that's what Candy or the producers were going for, but it was just something I channeled from. I think I agree with you, Aman. I think she was in the bottom purely because 3 other people killed it more than she did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they really brought
Period.
it.
It's not that she's in the bottom because she made bad mistakes. She's in the bottom because she just didn't pull it out the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I co-sign that as well. I want to see what the one that she thinks she messed up on, because I feel like we didn't get like a really good look at it. We kind of got one shot of it, but I wanted to see, like, was it truly too low, or was it just that it was like flapping open? Because I was like, I wonder if you could have salvaged that to still have the slit, but maybe have like a cross panel or something to like try to help to keep it together. I don't know. And I didn't really get a good sense of the other types of fabrics that were in her box. I know Jimbo, when Jimbo was going around and fingering everybody's boxes, found like the sort of belt, like beltish. I don't know what to call it. It looked like
the thing that she was like, you should put this on your head.
Candy's looking at her like, what the fuck? Can you leave me alone, please?
Yeah, I think that was Lala, maybe, or someone else. But yeah, it was like, this looks expensive. She was like, touch. So I wanted to see kind of like what else was in there. It felt like just a nothing but like sort of black and a little bit of red and some sponges. Because yeah, I think this was an interesting choice for the fabric, because maybe she was going for the sleek look, and since it's got that sheen to it, maybe that's part of the reason why she chose this. But yeah, I mean, oh my God, her makeup and hair, as you said, Beth, absolutely stunning. And I do think it wasn't because she crafted something that was bad. It's just because everybody else did so well.
I really feel like Michelle Visage was onto something. Candy really should consider like running a line of blush. Like that's really like becoming like her hallmark this season. I think her face has just looked good all season long. So drop that makeup line, girl. Do it.
She literally looks like she's airbrushed in this. I thought this was the most gorgeous she's painted all season, and she's painted very well all season.
Yeah, she can paint, baby.
Totally. The blending out of control. Speaking of makeup, let's talk about Jimbo and I would even hesitate to call this a face kini, because I feel like a face kini has to have holes, because Jimbo just
where's the face?
sewed some pearls on. But I have to say, oh my God, when it comes to both the craftsmanship, especially of the, like, I don't know what is not latex, but like whatever that sort of slippy pink fabric thing, the pleather thing, like the way that she made the sleeves, the hood, like everything was just so well done. And this is so bizarre.
Oh, it's so twisted and campy, but also high fashion. It's really wonderful. And I love that she even put on like nails that like match the neon flowers in the middle. I'm going to be honest with you. I really struggled in my mind to say, like, she probably, in my opinion, should have won. As much as I love Alexis, and I think Alexis looked absolutely beautiful, this is just beyond. Like, beyond in a lot of ways.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, she understood the assignment. It's literally Trixie Mattel influenced Jimbo. Like, it's very, like, you get both of them. She melded the two. Honestly, like, when she was going through the workroom, I was like, because we talk a lot about how like Alexis Michelle likes to self-produce. I was like, if she kind of laid it on thick about like the procrastination thing and like trying to make it seem like, oh my God, this could be the week that Jimbo goes home because she messed around too much in the workroom, and then she's making the decision not to put on any makeup. Like, it felt very much like, ooh, this could be Jimbo's time. And then she comes out in this and it's like, okay, well, that was clearly never gonna happen. So yeah, I just couldn't help but think that the entire time. But I also think, as much as I hate it when there's a clear front runner, I think she should have won. I think she should not have won that the one that she won before her last one. If we could switch out those wins, then I'd be good.
Yeah, just swap around some wins and then it'll all even out. We in our heads we can pretend that that's what this win was for. I think I liked it more with the hood on. I think there's something weird about the proportions with the big sleeves and then the teeny tiny little like pinhead looking thing. It needs the hood, in my opinion, to really be top tier. I think the hood, and so I think with the hood, I think really it's neck and neck for me between Alexis and Jimbo in terms of the winner. I think it's really, for me, could have been a flip of the coin. I think just because Alexis looks so stunning, and knowing that she got sent home, there's a little bit of me that like I'm okay with her redemption, especially knowing that Jimbo is just acing everything. Yeah. Like she still sort of gets the win here almost in feeling, just because of doing something so cool, so unique, so weird. And just like,
I guess really the only negative is that like she didn't paint, and it's like we can't really see your face. So like at least with Alexis, she made a garment and you can see her stunning tint. But this one is like, I'm like,
Michelle, she's literally her whole face is covered. Like, how do you expect her to have fake eyelashes on underneath being smushed with little pearls on her eyes? Like, what do you expect?
She's like a full face of makeup. And I like that Jimbo was like, yeah.
Yep.
The thing that I think is interesting that I can't tell is like, did she actually wear shoes, or did she just somehow adhere shoe bottoms to the bottom of her feet? Because her feet look way too big for the platform.
No, she did talk about the pieces that she needed to make on the day of the runway, and one of those was boot covers. So I do think that she is wearing shoes. She didn't just glue like heels.
When you look at it, doesn't it just look like she just adhered like platforms to the bottom of her bare feet that are just like in this like tight
It totally does. Like she just stuck cans to her feet and she's like wandering around up there. Maybe that's why she falls over so much.
Yeah, her being blind is just so funny. Like
also
like shout the other way, ma'am.
Yeah, exactly. But she kept bumping into things. Also, the shout out to her having like a hole ready to go for the straw and untucked. That is a prepared queen right there.
Oh my gosh.
Baby.
Ugh. And then that was another time where every time they would pan over to her and untucked and she's just sipping through her little hole, which you couldn't even see the hole. So it kind of looked like it was going into her pearl mouth. I don't know why. That just really tickled me. I loved it.
Jimbo is honestly iconic for when she's not the star, as like the background in all these crazy outfits and such. Last week with like the boobs holding the beer or the cocktail, this week with this. I mean, come on. And the bologna.
I think it's because everybody else is so normal around her, and then you just sort of like pan to Jimbo
just
what? Okay, let's talk about La Ree, who ultimately does get sent home here. Oh, in Alexis's wig, by the way, which I failed to mention. We find that out in Untucked.
And then she was like, "I'm stealing it," and I'm like, "You better. That's great. I love it." She just got $10,000. She can get another wig.
Exactly. So we have her as Miss Mandarin with the blue collar and a little hint of blue in the eyeshadow, but overall a very orange palette here, which I will say looks stunning on her skin, Aman. What did you think about Lala's look?
It's giving Black Velma.
Okay, I can see it.
Oh, I like that.
All she needs is some glasses. The one thing that just kept distracting me was the lace front. Like it was not blended. Like you could just literally. I was like, why'd you let your sister go out like that? Like, didn't nobody tell you to blend that shit? So I just couldn't stop looking at it. Also, another like it's just similar to Candy. It's once again, I'm not a seamstress, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. But like, I'm gonna wager to guess that this probably isn't as complicated to make as some of the others. So yeah, it was just a little boring. I agree with Michelle. Like, I'm not sure, or maybe it was, I forget who said it. But they were like, you needed to do something with the other arm than just having it bare. Like maybe put some bracelets on, or I don't know. Like it did come off like a little unfinished. Like you were rushed out and you couldn't think of something else to do. So just not fully realized. Definitely a step up from that monstrosity of what she did back in season 13. Okay, but yeah, just not enough for the caliber. Not enough.
I think this look alone is fine. Like I like the color and everything, but if I'm looking in comparison to Candy, I do agree with Lala being the weakest of the group, and therefore it's a justified decision to send her home that way.
Yeah.
I just like the little blue part here on her collar and on her wrist just look like really almost cheap looking. Like you can it looks like 5-minute crafts, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also understanding that this is the third dress that she sewed in a day. For someone who's not a seamstress is pretty impressive. I agree with you, Aman. There were 3 things that were distracting me from her. The first was the blue parts that I was talking about. The second was how far back the hairline is for her. Like it is like
Yeah.
on top of her head rather than being like a little bit more. Like if she'd brought it up like 2, maybe 1 inch even, it would have been better. I don't even know if that's a lace front. It looks like a hard front, to be honest with you. Which makes it even harder to blend if there's nothing to blend there. And then the third thing was that it's so form fitting in the middle that I spent so much time looking at where the corset is popping out when she was walking.
Yeah.
Which very well could be intentional as like a, hey, this is what I wanted to show off kind of thing. But when it's one color and there's nothing else, it's a little distracting.
Yeah.
I agree that I think overall she had the worst overall presentation when you put the whole thing together. And I mean, even the dress by itself, I think I would probably still pick Candy's over Lala's sort of for those little reasons. I do think that her answer on the runway where they were talking about the other arm, she was like, I ran out of fabric. I thought that was such a great answer. I almost feel like, oh, maybe she kind of like saved herself a little bit there because it was, you know, funny, truth, all of that together. But I similarly, I think it is a lace front, but I think that 1, because it's so far back, and 2, because it's not blended properly, and 3, because like it is Alexis Michelle's wig. So like that lace is going to be a little bit lighter probably, I think, because you can't dye the lace. So I think that sort of all of those things combined really didn't help her. The inclusion of the blue eyeshadow I do think is very clever because it's sort of she like clearly she's trying to tie it all together. But I would have loved to have seen what she did with the original dress, because when she first puts it on, it almost feels like immediately she's just like, no, this isn't it, and like gets rid of it instead of trying to, okay, let me like live in this for a second and feel if I can make this work. Can I add things to maybe try to tie this together? Because it just felt like she said, nope, I don't like the pattern. I'm out of here. And there could have been other reasons, fit issues, whatever. She didn't like the way it was cut, fine. But it's so tough to start from scratch 3 times in a row and then go with that third dress, which probably explains why it just feels a little bit unfinished compared to some of the other creations.
Yeah, and also I guess like if I didn't see who got who and everyone walked out and I knew that they were all All-Stars winners, I probably would have said Shikule, but still not giving enough of Shay, in my opinion.
Yeah. Let's talk about our winner, Alexis Michelle. I was full on prepared for rigatry. So when she walked out in this, I was like, how are you going to justify her being in the bottom? How are you like, I was already prepared to argue because I was so impressed with what she created. I think that this is absolutely stunning. She looks gorgeous. Her makeup is on point. I think she picked the right hair. She was the one person to include the little like feather thing, which we saw in everybody's box, just with different colors. So happy about that because I kept seeing it in everybody's box and I was like, someone use it. Someone use it. She did. Everything about this I think is really gorgeous. And so this is why I'm totally fine with her getting the win over Jimbo. I think Jimbo's creativity was amazing, but Alexis just looks so pretty. And my monkey brain just sees that and goes, pretty, shiny, me like that's the extent of everything I think when it comes to Alexis Michelle.
Yeah, she did a good job. And it's giving so much of Trinity as well. Like I could totally see Trinity wearing this. Just like, there's just the attention to detail. Everything fits well. The way that she handled that fabric, the little design of like beads and jewels that she put on the back of the headpiece. Her makeup looks stunning. The wig choice is perfect. Like, maybe, you know what? Maybe she should have one. Maybe not Jimbo. So, I just think she did a really good job.
I also think that one of the best things about Alexis's presentation was just like, she knew she looked good, which is unfortunately for Jimbo, we can't get that sense because your face is covered.
I mean, she can't even see it. She's like bumbling around.
Well, that too. Like, she's kind of walking not as confidently as she normally would because she can't see anything. But with Alexis, like, that smile I know is half put on, but mostly like, bitch, I know it look good. Like, I look beautiful. You can't handle it. I can't handle it. Bitch. Give me the win. Give me the win. I will say, when I got to Untucked and I was looking at the dress, I was like, I really wish she didn't have the tulle in the back. Yeah. I thought that in Untucked looked cheap. On here looked beautiful. So she either knows what looks good on the main stage, which is all that matters. It doesn't matter how it looks with the, the, as they call it, the homophobic, workroom lights or whatever. But I do think, like, if I had to take anything off, it would be like the tulle skirt thing in the back. But oh my gosh, the attention to detail, the fit, the colors, everything. She just looks absolutely stunning. Definitely deserved the win.
I was looking to see if I could find any of the queens have any opinions about anything, but no one has said anything so far. But I'm guessing Trinity would really like this. I think that she would.
I think that's because the tulle, the blue, is like slightly different also. That makes it like a little bit. So I totally see what you're getting at, Beth. I agree. I probably would have plucked that off as well because I still think the proportions would have looked stunning regardless. It's not like it's overbalanced with the headpiece or being too top heavy. So, and the fact, I mean, I think she put a zipper in this. She's got shoulder pads. Like, oh my gosh, what's not to love?
I love it.
It's perfection.
Our final contestant here, Jessica Wilde, who does end up safe. She won our last ball design challenge, and hers, she was inspired by, I think, Kylie. Yes, Kylie Sonique Love. Beth, what do you think about Jessica's look?
I love Jessica's look. For me, it's kind of got an aspect to it that's a little I don't know how else to, I think it's maybe just like the color and like the texture of it that kind of reminds me of like the Jennifer Lopez dress to a certain extent. It's not the same, silhouette or anything, but there was something like kind of sexy to it. It also like is really youthful too and playful. So she had a lot of fun spinning it on the runway, like showing off that garment, showing those layers, showing all the different aspects of it. I thought it was really beautiful. I love this. I don't think it's as strong as either Jimbo or Alexis. I think that she definitely would have been the safe middle person. But I think that she really killed it. I don't know if I get a lot of Sonique out of it, to Aman's point about everything, but I also feel like unless you're wearing like athletically like strappy, like sexy, like your bottom part of your boobs are showing kind of thing. There's, I mean, Kylie is just hot. So she is a body, it's hard to like copy that. But I thought she did a great job.
I don't know. My eyes sort of like didn't know like how to make sense of it when I saw her walking in it. Like these pictures make it look very, very good. I just remember when I was watching it, when she was walking down, it felt like the fit of it towards the bottom felt a little weird to me. But I do really like the blending of fabric and textures. It kind of has like a bit of like a deconstructed type of look to it. It sort of like reminds me, I don't know if it's just because Nikki Doll was here this week, but she had a similar type of like deconstructed like thing. I think that's the thing that she went home in, actually. Unfortunately. It
when she lost the lip sync.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely think that she's definitely in the middle. Definitely not the worst. But there was like something about the execution that didn't quite gel all the way for me.
I can see that because, I mean, to a certain extent, it's fabric glued to a corset. But I think because of the way that she blended it, I think that elevates it a little bit, and just the color combination. And when Chanel and Raven are doing the walkthrough, I mean, she talks about the color combination of those fabrics and like gets approval for that. And so I think the way that it's constructed does help to elevate it past just fabric glued to a corset. But yeah, there are all those sort of small things. Like there was something about the way that the silver panel at the bottom didn't like quite fit in necessarily.
Yeah, I
as
think that's what it was
much.
for me. It felt a little bit too loose. Like maybe if she would have sewed that just down a little further, because you want the dimension, right? You want like the sway, but it did come off like, ooh, that feels like that's not supposed to move like that. For me.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Like integrated a little bit more. I don't know how, like underneath something, because it was just kind of like on top. But overall, in terms of the placement this week, I would have put her in the, if we were doing like tops, middle, bottoms. I think that she was right in the middle. I think that the overall, the placements were correct in this episode, which feels rare somehow, which is unfortunate. But, I think
and yet people are still upset.
Somehow, look, maybe that's what the show is just like. Look, they're gonna be mad anyway. Like, who cares?
Let's just rig it.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. We'll just do what we want. Her hair and makeup work so well with the dress because of the way that the side part with the way that the hair flows matches the way that the dress flows, and clearly thought out. I think she looks really gorgeous, and I don't really have a lot more critiques to say about this, but I just think that when you compare it again to Alexis and Jimbo's, those are just like a slight step above what she crafted, but still very gorgeous. Okay, the last thing I want to mention that I have in the PowerPoint is Jimbo's vote. This is totally tangential and feels very out of line, but Jimbo's vote has not counted since episode 1. Okay, meaning that Jimbo has not casted a vote that has counted towards an elimination since episode 1. So in episode 2, she loses the lip sync. In episode 3, Jessica Wilde wins. So again, Jimbo's vote doesn't count. Episode 4, Jimbo loses the lip sync. Her vote does not count. Episode 5, she loses the lip sync. Her vote doesn't count. Episode 6, Candy wins the lip sync. So Jimbo's vote doesn't count. And episode 7, Lala wins. Jimbo's vote doesn't count. And even then, of course, in this episode, we see Alexis win, meaning Jimbo's vote has not counted, which there's something so funny about this to me. I don't know why.
Until she applies for citizenship here, she will not be voting in these United States of America.
Voter fraud. We do not condone voter fraud here in America. Thank you.
Oh my God.
I didn't think about the voter fraud angle. Love that. It was, to me, it was like, who is the seeming front runner of the competition's vote has not mattered at all when it comes to
love that.
People.
Oh man.
I guess that's something that she can say in the end. It's like, I never technically sent any of you guys home.
I never sent any of you home.
Just saying. Just in case there's a jury aspect like All Stars 3.
Right. Oh boy. Okay. So
how do we like Chanel and Raven doing the walkthrough instead of Ru? I was kind of like interested by that decision.
Yeah, I was intrigued by that decision too, especially because Chanel was the one who really piqued my interest because we had seen her as a lip sync assassin, and Raven has done walkthroughs before. So that didn't feel out of the ordinary, but I was like, okay, this is interesting. I kept trying to figure out, like, what are they telling me with this? Like, why were they chosen? What is the bigger angle? Is Chanel going to be on All Stars 9? Like, what is happening here?
Is RuPaul leading soon? Like, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Well, I was thinking, are they going to try to revitalize Drag U, and Chanel's going to come back for that? Like, I just think it's and for those of us who aren't in LA, like, it very well could be like, no, Chanel's like still like really big within the WoW Presents like circle of things, but like it doesn't appear that way. So when you have someone from All Stars 1 and Season 1 who we really haven't seen or heard from as a mass, anybody who's following Drag Race, to see her not only come back as a lip sync assassin, but then also do a run through it is really interesting. Raven's doing makeup on the set. She's there all the time. But I don't know. It's very interesting. There's a part of me that's like, is Raven leaving and Chanel's going to take over for Raven for RuPaul's makeup or something? Like,
I felt like Chanel, true to form, talked a lot.
Oh, yeah. She did.
Part of me wanted to be like, Chanel, shut up. Like, I want to hear what the queens have to say.
Yeah.
It was like
Couldn't get a
watching
win, Ed
myself
was.
on television. You know?
I know, right? I also I feel very akin to Michelle. Like, again, her faked like vulnerable moment on the show in season 1 is still one of my favorites. I related to that very much. And so her just over speaking, just let others speak, darling.
She just wanted to make sure there was no dead air, you know? She was like, please
again,
invite me back to do this again.
the OG producer, the
Oh my
original
God.
Jan.
She is so, you know what? It's so funny that you say that, because when I was a fundraiser, there's, you know, if you take a donor out to dinner or something like that, but they haven't committed to a dollar amount, what you should do is not butter them up by paying for dinner all the time and not seeing the return. You let that check sit there and make them pick it up. I'm not good at that. I'm like, it's been there for 5 seconds. I've got this. It's like, it feels very that. So they were like, no. Like, make the, like, it would be so funny. They'd be like, Beth, you know, like, obviously, like, you have a budget for these reasons. Like, that's fine. But, like, how often is the donor paying? And I was like, well, when never.
Words of the wise. I'll
Words
remember
of the
the tip.
wise.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the lip sync because, as we mentioned, Nikki Doll was the lip sync assassin, which it was very much and you know, we've had this before where it's like, I don't think that word means what you think it means with the lip sync assassin, but this was just so blatant Drag Race France promo. As soon as Nikki Doll walked out, I was like, wait, what? You know, and this is maybe my naivete of being out of the complete international Drag Race scene. I was like, Nikki Doll, and then was immediately reminded, yes, the host of Drag Race France. That's why she's here, because in the top however many hundred of queens that have been on Drag Race, she's not in the top for the lip sync assassin for me, personally. But Beth, what did you think? I mean, I know you talked about the song choice of These Boots Are Made for Walkin'. I mean, I think a fun song, but I don't know if necessarily for Nikki, something I would have picked.
This is where I'm confused. Like, there have been multiple times in multiple seasons where we've had this format where I've thought to myself, if you know who the lip sync assassin is, why aren't you choosing a song? Like, it should be stacked against the queen who won, in my opinion. I think that makes it much more interesting, because then it's like, yay, you won. You know, you get this rolled over account most of the time, whatever, right? I just, like, I don't know. I felt like Nikki didn't really connect with the song in any capacity. I liked her outfit, but I'm going to be honest with you. As I looked at her, I was like, you know what? I don't like her glow up of makeup as much. Like, I think it's something with the nose contour or something. And then when they kept showing her back in season 12, I was like, I think she looked prettier in 12. Which is, like, I think for me, what it is it doesn't seem like, you know, like before it was like very like, let me show off who I am. And now it's like, here are what all the makeup trends are. And I'm just going to put them on my face now, rather than like having the Nikki version of it. So I guess I just, like, all the way around, like, I was like distracted by the look a little bit. I didn't think that she connected well with the song. I love Alexis, as y'all know, but like the going back and forth between being very serious and like also kind of campy, and then also that feeling of like, is this on purpose or not? Like, is she being campy on purpose, or does she think she's looking sexy?
And it felt this was a song that should have been like right up her alley. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't think that she did horribly, but I agree. I feel like I didn't really connect with it. I was kind of just enjoying the song more so than watching them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like, I think that the more and more all-star seasons that we have, the lip sync assassin, it just kind of gets diluted. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at All Stars 5 now, Evie Oddly, then Alyssa Edwards, then Monet Exchange, Morgan McMichaels, Vanjie, Roxy, Kennedy Davenport. Like, those are all lip sync assassins. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like nowadays, it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So this is, I just want to, because I want to go what to Beth is talking about. So this was Nikki Doll's promo look from her original season, if you're watching the YouTube channel. And then this is her look from the runway. And like, I do see what you're saying of, it does sort of feel like, yeah, I don't know, more like current trends, but I don't know if it necessarily like fits with Nikki. Because I feel like her Parisian look was like, that was sort of, you know, that's what she was going for.
Yeah.
She kind of looks like Lemon to me, especially with
It's
the
the
glasses.
nose contour. Like if you
Yeah,
go back to
maybe.
the first one, if you're able to, like,
Yeah.
like she still was able, like, look at how different, like her nose looks like rounded and like beautiful and like, I don't know. I think I don't know. I think I just preferred how she looked on season 12 because I really got, oh, that is a natural beauty that she's able to put drag makeup on.
Yeah.
And now it's like I am taking drag trends and putting it on my face whether or not I really need it.
Yeah. I mean, she looks gorgeous, honestly, in both.
No, she looks gorgeous either way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I also, that woman in the corner, I've seen her on like YouTube before or whatever, but I'm not going to lie, when you're like, and this is her now, my eye immediately went to her.
The woman doing the React content.
Like,
I
what
couldn't find a
happened?
good picture. And I wasn't going to go to Paramount Plus and like go to
It was so funny. I just looked at it, I was like, and this is her now. I was like, yeah, she looks a lot different now.
She looks really different now. She's doing green screen React content.
That's funny.
All right. What else do we have to talk about from this episode?
I really, to echo what you said before, I really enjoyed how gracious Lala Ree was the entire time. She kept a smile on her face. She was so funny, like during when she was backing her shit up. She was like, "That bitch, send me home." Like, don't trust her. No, what did she say? She was like, I need Candy to win because that's my 13th sister. But if not Candy,
then Jimbo.
Then Jimbo.
Yeah.
Jimbo, I live for Jimbo. But then not Jimbo, then Jessica.
Just not Alexis.
Never Alexis.
Just not Alexis.
I also loved when she went and when she got eliminated. She went, "Is that what you said?" And then she like looked at the lipstick and she was like, "All right." That was great. Yeah.
Do they do Miss Congeniality for All Stars seasons?
No.
Why do I feel like no? Okay, because if there was voting, which I know the Queen's
I would
pick
totally
now,
vote for her. Yeah.
I would still vote for Lala Ree. Yeah, I think.
Oh yeah.
She was. There's a reason why she was Miss Congeniality on her first season, and I think that continued to shine through all the way through her elimination. Because if I were her, and Alexis Michelle kept telling me, and again, we've talked about it, it wasn't explicit, but still, if Alexis Michelle was telling me, I will never forget you saving me, and then she sends me home, oh boy, I'd be so mad. I would be
burn my ass.
Yes, barn burning. Like, talk about calling security for Candy. You'd have to call security because and even like when she hugs her, like after Alexis pulls her lipstick, and then she's so just so sweet and kind-hearted about it. And I think we got a really good moment also in this episode with some of the mirror talk where, you know, she talks about her experience on her first season, about how I felt like I didn't belong. Like, I don't belong here. I'm not as good as these other queens. And then she comes out the season, continues to get booked. People love her personality. She starts to have her glow up and like everything is going right for her. And so I think I just did feel this upward movement, upward trajectory for Lala Ree, where I could have seen her in the final 4 or final 3. And it just feels a little like sad to be so cut short. But who knows? I mean, okay, again, I'm not putting it out here okay. If there's 12 episodes, we talked about this last week. There's 12 episodes. That means we have 4 more episodes. I think she could come back. I'm holding out hope. Fingers crossed, because otherwise I just don't know how. Are we going to go down to a final 2? Because next week we have the Carson roast.
Yep.
From 4 to 3, episode 9. Okay.
Yeah.
There's 3 more episodes. I just don't understand how that's going to work.
And they don't do reunion episodes on All Stars, do they?
I'm hoping they're bringing one back this season. That's my hope. They haven't done a reunion since All Stars 2.
I'm hoping for that as well, because again, I just don't know how this
or is there a
going to
fame game entirely focused episode.
Which could be the 14th. It very well could be a situation where like 2 episodes from now they crown the winner, and then we get a bonus episode afterwards, which is like, you all voted, and this is the Fame Games episode.
But then again, we've already been watching all of the Runway, so it's like, what are they going to put in that episode? But we've seen everything already. You know what I mean? Although they didn't show us any looks this time. They were like, tune in next week.
Because it was a construction challenge.
Yeah, but I had the same, Aman, I had the exact same reaction. I was like, where are the Fame Game pictures? And then I was like, oh, wait, no, that doesn't.
Could you imagine? They're like, you have all been sent a box that includes Alaska and Chad, and just go through all the rest of them that were not included.
Yeah. Okay, so fun. Because so voting opens on July 14th, which means I assume that there has to be an episode on the 21st. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So then the final episode would be on the 21st, because it would be a week of voting essentially from the July 14th to July 21st, which would
July 21st is the finale.
That is or I mean, I assume that will be the last episode based on the fact that the voting will open on the 14th. And then the final episode, I assume, will be on the 21st, which means 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we still have 4 more episodes. Again, no idea how this is going to work. I talked about it last week. I'm going to continue to talk about it because I have no idea. And it seems like we are doing a traditional episode next week with the Carson roast. So
I would be down for the format changing and you go to a final 2. Like, with like, rather than lip syncing and all that kind of stuff. Like, so we get a final 4 next week down to a 3. Then we have a 3 to a 2. Then there's that, whatever the bonus episode is, that's going to be Fame Game voting. Maybe it's a reunion or whatever. And then the finale with the final 2.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're thinking, look, how is Jimbo going to win this? Because, I mean, they can always pull the Jinx Monsoon thing where it's like, oh, and the winner is going to be determined based off of this lip sync and the whole rest of the season. So you can always still do that. But look, I don't know. We'll find out, I guess.
Assuming they're going to go to 3 next week, who do you think is the person that's getting eliminated?
Okay, it's a roast.
My mind is, at first glance, I said Jessica. But then I remembered how well she did in the improv challenge last week. So I was like, she might actually be a really good contender. I don't know about Jimbo. Like, Jimbo's funny, but like, can she write jokes? You know? So I don't really know about that one. So
for me, it's Alexis. She was in the bottom for the roast in the Michelle Visage roast in season 9.
Oh yeah.
When she went off on Taylor Braxton.
Have you ever seen the show?
Have you ever watched the show? Iconic. But I think
I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Wasn't she like green too? She was
that's
what she was. Yes, and she had those like green titty pad things that were like a completely different green than the body paint that she painted. Yeah, I remember that being very bizarre. I'm looking to see if Jimbo, because I don't remember if I don't think they did a roast on her first season.
No.
Yeah, no, they definitely did not do a roast.
And I don't remember them doing one for UK versus the World.
I think, though,
she got sent home pretty early too.
Seen her with improv challenges and with like Snatch Game and all these other things be able to come up with like quotes and insults really quickly. Yeah. I think Jimbo's going to be fine. Candy won the roast in season 13, which I did not agree with. I mean, like, when your funniest joke is she was like, she died.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, that's not funny. Anyway. But I think that obviously like RuPaul lives for like Candy's comedy and personality and all that kind of stuff. So as long as she like continues that, I see Candy or Jimbo winning this, Jessica and Alexis in the bottom with Alexis going home.
Right. I could see that. I could see that too. I could see an outside chance of maybe Jessica getting sent home, depending on who wins or how the voting situation would work. Because I guess it would just be one queen voting. It's like the queen who wins the lip sync and then the other one. So really down to just like one vote. I mean, here it was down to 1 versus 2 votes. I think that that's a possibility. So who knows what we're gonna see? I do think that Jimbo,
Or is it like a thing where it's like if you're not in the top, you're in the bottom?
maybe, yeah, it could be a bottom 3, which would be, oh my gosh, that would be wild. Can you imagine if Jimbo lands in the bottom 3 and then like Candy sends her home? Oh no! Okay,
Actually,
take it back.
okay.
No. Take it back.
Honestly,
I
I'd live.
mean,
Honestly, I would live. I'm all about the drama. I'm here for it.
and it would just be so like poetic because that's just Jimbo's story every fucking time.
Right?
She just can't get to the end.
Always
The
ends at
best part
final
about that
four.
is like she's tried really hard to like not go off the rails with her voting this whole time, just to be set up at the start. And with her vote not even counting, as Liana said, for like
see,
the
it's
entire
never,
season.
it's never counted. Well, that and Candy is the Rodney Dangerfield of drag. So we're gonna go back to school. She's gonna school Jimbo. I don't know. We'll see. Which that was so funny. I loved Candy being like, I don't know.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, man.
Gets no respect at all. Okay.
Good.
That does it for us. We are done with this episode. We'll be back next week for the Carson roast. Aman, anything else you want to say? Where can people find you on social media? All that wrap up nonsense.
You can find me everywhere at Aman Adwin, just chilling with Drag Race for now. Lovely time talking with you guys as always, and I just cannot stress enough how much I really enjoyed last week's challenge. That was so funny. It was so funny.
So good.
Mm-hmm. So good. And Beth, what about you?
You can find me at AugustaWind11 on all my social media, as well as just going live and being weird with Tyler and Allison over at My Weekly Meltdown on Wednesdays. So come hang out and question why you follow me.
Always a good thing to ask ourselves. All right, and you can follow me on Twitter at Liana RHAP. Also, chilling with Drag Race, and then actually, I don't know if I can talk about this, but there's going to be a brand steal that's happening next week on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I know it's like going to be wild. It's going to be bizarre. Anyway, so if you are in the loop, check that out Tuesday live, the RHAP YouTube channel or on Twitch. All right. If you want to leave your star ratings and reviews for us, you can do so on iTunes, robhasawebsite.com/drag race. Thank you to the whole RHAP team for all their help behind the scenes. And we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.